I am Supreme, and today's Astro Oracle investigation will be on Aesha Muhammad, who is a 23-year-old mother who went missing from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, November 30th, 2000. Today is November 5th, 2025. This is a whole 25 years later, and Aesha Muhammad has still never been heard from or seen again. I'm going to go over this timeline. This is a very interesting case. I've had time to sit with this case. So I'm going to try to be as quickly as possible because I'm going to get very intense. We're going to solve this case. In 1998, Aesha gave birth to her only son. Aesha was born October 11th, 1977. In front of me, I have Aisha's planetary alignments the day she was born. And I also have the planetary alignments of the day Aesha disappeared. And after I go through this timeline, we're going to connect the dots of the planetary alignments, which are the Akashic records. The planets are our electromagnetic satellites that record every occurrence that has ever took place in existence, from the beginning of time to the present time to the future. It's eternal. Okay, each planet is responsible for specific energies, frequencies, and vibrations in existence. I am a high ranking oracle. I know how to pull information from the planets, and I know how to read the signs, which represent the energies, frequencies, and vibrations of all people, places, and things. And I was able to solve this case. So I present this high ranking oracle investigation to you. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell button so you'll be notified when I drop my investigations. Now, in 1998, Aesha Muhammad, she gave birth to her only son. She went to beauty school and she worked. She knew someone who owned a home in West Philadelphia, which would have been closer to her school and her work. His name is Charles Dawkins. He was supposed to have been a half brother of her father. Aesha and her son's father co-parented. They seemed to have a good relationship with each other. Aesha only had her son on the weekends because her life was preoccupied by going to school and working. And the son's father had him through the week. Tensions began to arise between Aesha and Charles Dawkins after she moved in one of his homes that he was renting out to her. He was renting out a room to her. I don't know too much about this Charles Dawkins guy, and I don't know too much of what could have went on between Charles, who was just basically a property manager to her. I know he knew her family. He was supposed to have been the half brother of her father. But whatever type of clashing they could have went through in that house, still to this day, is not really known. It was said like he was throwing out her dinner. Like, it sounds to me like there was some controlling issues going on in that household. But let me continue with this timeline so I can tune fully into this energy of this crime. Okay, so that way I can pull cards, because that's what I have not pulled yet. I pulled charts and I went over the charts, and I'm going to present my investigation to you according to the astrological standpoint. Then I'm going to pull oracle cards to solve this entire case. And you're going to witness this high ranking oracle right before your eyes. Yeah, so tensions began to arise between Charles and Aesha, only weeks after she moved in. It wasn't even a month. And she began to communicate these problems with her siblings, mainly her sister. Aesha told her sister that Charles had been acting crazy. Her sister agreed to let Aesha move in with her. Now, November 30th, 2000, which was the last day Aesha was heard from by her siblings, she called her brother earlier that day. Her brother name is Solomon, to tell him to inform their sister, because she had been trying to call her sister, but her sister wasn't answering. So she called her brother. Because, see, her sister, they had made arrangements for her sister to, come and pick her up so she could move in. But prior to those arrangements, during those arrangements, Aesha had also made arrangements to bring her child to his father. She had kept her child for longer, I guess during the holidays, longer than what she would usually keep him, because she had been talking to his father, letting his father know, look, I want to see him more. I want to keep him longer than just the weekends. So that was pretty much like the first weekend that she kept her son longer than usual. And of course, that was the holiday weekend, November 30th. That's Thanksgiving weekend. So she wasn't able to contact her sister, so she called her brother and relayed the message. So when her sister finally got home, she immediately got the message from her brother and she called Aesha, but there was no answer. Everyone began to reach out to Charles on numerous attempts, but Charles didn't answer. When Charles finally returns their phone calls, he informs them that Aesha packed her things and moved out. How? When the sister never picked her up. That was the plan. So where did Aesha go? And why wasn't Charles answering his phone all along? So the siblings, they called their father, who was in Atlanta, Georgia, living in Atlanta, Georgia at the time, to let him know that Aesha was missing. So the father arrives in Philadelphia from Atlanta. He took the next flight out. And when he arrives in Philadelphia, him and Aesha's family goes over to Charles Dawkins' home, where Aesha was renting out this room, where Charles said that Aesha packed her stuff and left. The whole family went over there. When they got over there, they discovered that all of Aesha's belongings were gone. How? She didn't have a car. Where did she go? And how did she get there? Who did she leave with? She didn't leave with the sister. She didn't leave with the brother, because the brother didn't have a car. The sister was the one that had the car. Now, it gets deeper. The following month, December, but it wasn't that long. It was only about a week. Because remember, this was November 30th. In the beginning of December, which is only about a week later, Liberty Temple Church, which was 82 miles away from Philadelphia, in East Orange, New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey, heard a loud bang at their door during their every weekend Sunday service. And when they opened up the door, guess who was at the door? Not Aesha, her son. Her 2-year-old son was standing at the door all by himself. How? Who banged on the door? It wasn't the 2-year-old son, because they said that the person banged like they were the police. It was a loud bang. So we know it wasn't the 2-year-old. So it was reported that the deacon answered the door. When the deacon answered the door, this wasn't reported. This is just my speculation. When the deacon answered the door, and you seen a 2-year-old boy, they didn't know who this boy was. Mind you, this is 82 miles away from this whole missing case person of Aesha. So this church has no idea, apparently. They have no idea who this child is and how this child is linked to the missing person in Philadelphia, his mother. When the deacon answered the door, I want to know, when you see this 2-year-old child standing there all by himself, I mean, did you look out the door? Like, did you walk down the hall? Somebody was still in that church. And let me tell you something. What I also found out was that the church was not an ordinary church. It used to be an ordinary church, but they had to leave that building. They had to leave the ordinary church building months prior. Some issues was going on with the church building, finances and all of that. So they had to move to a regular looking residential building. It did not look like a church. And they was on a specific floor in that building. Whoever dropped Aisha's son off at that church gathering that was in a regular residential building on a specific floor that did not look like a church on the outside knew that church. It had to have been somebody linked to that church to even know that that was a church. Now, check this out. The son, who was only 2 years old, he was a, I mean, 2-year-olds nowadays can talk. I mean, this was 2000, but 2-year-olds can talk. It has been scientifically proven, like they did studies, not on the child, but it's been studied that children who are raised by single mothers talk earlier, they grow earlier than children who come from 2-parent households. These young boys and girls catch on very, very soon. Their protective instincts as well are sharper than the instincts of a 2-year-old that comes from a 2-parent household. They said that the 2-year-old son, he was fine, but he was able to tell them his name. Of course, they eventually called the police and found out that this child was linked to a missing person that they was in the process of still looking for 82 miles away in Philadelphia, who was his mother. They said the 2-year-old boy, don't quote me, but I believe his name is Amaru. I believe that's what his name was. I don't know why I didn't write it down. But I think his name was like Amaru or something like that. Don't quote me on that. But this 2-year-old spoke clear enough. Whatever he was speaking, they was able to understand what he was saying. And he said that his mommy was dead. I had chills. Oh my God. I just caught chills. Something just went all through my body. He said his mommy was dead and that she had been fighting and was punched in her face with blood. However he said it, he didn't say it as clear as I said it. But whatever lingo he said it in, his 2-year-old lingo, they understood it. They was able to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Because that was apparently one of the same stories that law enforcement was able to figure out. We don't know how they figured that out if they don't know where Aesha is at. She's still missing to this day. This is 25 years later. At that time, it was only a week later. But this is a whole 25 years later. This case is still not solved. Nobody knows what happened to Aesha Muhammad. They're going off of what her son told them at 2 years old, which was also what law enforcement speculated. Now, they also said the son told them a name, but law enforcement never released that name. Charles Dawkins, who was the man that Aesha was renting a room from, who was supposed to be her father's half brother, he refused to take a lie detector test. Although he's a convicted felon on parole for armed robbery. It's time to pull charts. It's time to pull charts. I have my notes here on what I took, the information I'm going to get from these charts. Aesha was born October 11th, 1977. Y'all know how I formulate time. Time is the sun divided by moon cycles. The sun was in Libra and her moon was in Virgo. And when you put a Virgo moon in Libra's house, which is the 7th house, Pisces is rising. Why is Pisces rising? This is Aesha Muhammad's birth chart energy. This is a 12th house chart because Pisces is the 12th sign of the zodiac. That is the 12th energy in us. The 12th house is the house of the subconsciousness. It is the house of the hidden. It is the house of smoke and mirrors where nothing is clear. It is the house of what goes on behind our backs, what we cannot see, what is totally undeveloped and unseen by the naked eye. It is the spirit realm. It is considered the realm of the enemy. It is the realm of our shadows. It is the realm of secrets and darkness and chaos where you don't know what's going on. Everything is intriguing in this house. And Aesha Muhammad's life was surrounded by this 12th house energy. Now, where is Aesha at in her birth chart energy? She's a Libra. Libra is actually right here in the house of death. Now, this is her birth chart. Does that mean she's dead? No. But this is a sign. And when Libra is in the 8th house of death, Libra is the partner, the spouse. That means the energy surrounding all of her transitions, not just physical death, because transition is not just death of the body. You can transition from one job to the next, one location of living to the next. You can transition from one person to the next. You can transition from one stage of life to the next. What this death energy, transition energy is telling me in Aesha's birth chart is that however she transitions in her life, the energy of her transition will always be assisted by a significant other. So this does let me know that if Aesha is dead, somebody else did it. Libra represents the other person. Now, her moon was in Virgo. Look where Virgo is at, in Libra's house. Libra rules the 7th house. So This significant other that's definitely responsible for her disappearance, but we don't know if he was responsible for her death. And we don't even know if it's a man or a woman. But what we do know is that this individual is somebody that was helping her. Because Virgo is the help. And when Virgo, the help, is in the house of relationships, where the relationship energy is in the house of death and transition, the person responsible for her disappearance is somebody that was helping her. Now, when I look inside of Virgo's house, that which is the sixth house, will let me know the nature of this help. I see Leo. Leo is the energy of a child. Could this be the kid's father? Somebody that was helping her with her child. Now, if Aesha is not dead, she knows exactly where her child is. She knows who has her child. And she knows the people in that church in New Jersey. She knows, I don't care what anybody say. Aesha knows the people at that church somehow in New Jersey. Now, let's find out what comes first the day she actually disappeared. She disappeared November 30th, 2000. The sun was in Sagittarius and the moon was in Capricorn. So when you put a Capricorn moon in Sagittarius' house, which is the ninth house, that is the house of churches. Taurus is rising. This is a second house chart. This is the chart of money, material possessions, earning capacity, value. Why is Taurus rising? Where was Taurus located at in Aisha's birth chart energy? Right here in the third house. The third house is the house of the local environment. The third house is also the house of siblings. Now, I'm just reading the energy. I don't know if her siblings had anything to do with it, but I'm just reading the energy. Why is Taurus in her house of siblings? Let's find out. This is Gemini's house. Where is Gemini at the day Aisha disappeared, and what's in the third house? Gemini, the day Aisha disappeared, is right here in the second house. And it's ironic, this is a second house chart. Not because Gemini is in the second house, but because Taurus comes first. And Taurus is the second sign of the zodiac. But it's funny that the very energy that Taurus was in, the house that Taurus was in Aisha's energy, is in Gemini's house. And Gemini in Aisha's chart is in the fourth house of home and family. This is Cancer's house. But Gemini showed up in the second house. And this is a second house chart the day she was missing. Gemini is a sibling. But Gemini is also the neighbor in the local environment. Why is the sibling rising? Did somebody pay somebody? There's definitely money involved. Because this is the second house. There's definitely money involved. Now, the first note I took was to follow Taurus, which is what I always do. And then we're going to get to the house of death. Because see, Sagittarius is in the house of death. Why is that important? Where was Sagittarius at in Aisha's birth chart? In the 10th house. This is the house of the father. The 10th house is the house of the father. That is the house of oh my God. I just had an epiphany. Sagittarius is the energy of churches. And the 10th house is the energy of the father. Could this have been the deacon at the church that the baby was said to have been found at? Did somebody really bang? Oh my God, my heart just skipped a beat. Did somebody really bang on that door at the church, or was that the story that they told? Because Sagittarius, which is the energy of the ninth house, which is the energy of churches, showed up in the house of the Father. And the first person I think of when Sagittarius is in the house of the Father is the deacon, the person that answered the door at the church, not the child's father, because the child showed up okay at a church. So what's really going on? And this energy right here is in Aesha's house of death the day she disappeared. What the fuck is really going on with this story? Let's follow Jupiter because Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Jupiter, the day Aesha disappeared, was in Gemini, right here in the house of money. Gemini is the sibling. What's really going on? What's really unraveling? Jupiter in Aisha's birth chart energy is in Cancer. And Cancer in Aisha's chart is in the house of her child, the fifth house. That's Leo's house. Remember where Leo was at? In the house of health. The person that she was in a relationship with, that's responsible for her disappearance, that was helping her with her child. Look, Cancer, Jupiter, which rules Sagittarius in her house of death the day she disappeared, is in Cancer right here in the child's house. So, Sagittarius also represents the grandmother. Where is the grandmother at in this story? I didn't hear too much about the grandmother. If somebody hear about the grandmother, definitely let me know. Because I see the grandmother. I see the grandmother's energy. The grandmother. And the grandmother is in the house of death. With the mother's energy in Gemini's house. The house of the sibling. I wonder if all her siblings have the same mother or the same father. Not sure. I see a grandmother in the picture. If anybody knows anything about the grandmother, let me know. But I see the grandmother in the picture. But I also see the deacon. But I definitely see somebody from that church. It's a church member. And I'm going to tell you how I know that. Because Taurus comes first. Venus rules Taurus. Venus was in Capricorn the day Aisha disappeared. And look where Capricorn is, right here in church. Capricorn is the authority figure, the father figure. The father figure is in church, the ninth house. That's Sagittarius' house. And look where Sagittarius is, in the house of death. I do believe Aisha is dead. And the person that's in her death energy is somebody from the church. It's right here. Now, look where Capricorn is in Aisha's birth chart energy, in the 11th house. That's Aquarius' house. That's the house of membership. This is a member of the church. This right here in Aquarius' house. And guess where Aquarius is? Right here in the 12th house. This is a 12th house chart. Not because Aquarius is hiding in the 12th house, because the 12th house is the house of the hidden, but because Pisces comes first. And Pisces is the 12th sign of the zodiac. That's why this is a 12th house. But it's ironic and funny that this church member is hiding. That's what this 12 means. It's hiding. It's hiding. They were hiding in her energy. This is somebody that knew Aesha. Because this person is hiding in Aesha's energy. This is not the energy of her disappearance. This is the energy of her birth. This is somebody that already knows Aesha. They was hiding in her energy. Now, the day she disappeared, look where this person is at. In the 10th house of the father. And look where the father's energy is. In church. This is somebody that probably knows the father of Aesha's child. Or somebody that knows her father. And it just might be the father of her child. Because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. And guess where Saturn is in Aesha's energy? In Leo, the child. The person that was helping her with her child. Now, Capricorn can also be Charles Dawkins. That is an authority figure. And he may have a connection to that church in New Jersey. Aesha Muhammad. I know she's going. I know she's going. So I'm going to talk to her. I made contact with her energy already. Like all type of shit was moving around in here while I was digging in her energy. I've been sitting in my basement for about a couple of hours now. You know, tuning into this energy. And I'm in a big room. This is my office, my studio down here. It's funny, but this ain't the first time it happened, that now all of a sudden everything has been quiet all these hours I've been down here until I started tapping into her energy. And then shit start moving on the other side of the room. I know she's in this room with me. Just like everybody else that I do a reading on. Shit moves. Somehow they let me know that they are here. Because that is what I do. Aesha Muhammad, born October 11th, 1977, who went missing November 30th, 2000. What happened to you? Tell us in 3 cards. Oh my God. Y'all didn't hear that? I'm not scared. I'm used to the dark. I live in darkness. I hear voices all day, every day. I'm used to it. I'm not disturbed because I realize this is my mission. If I didn't realize this was my mission, I'd probably be somewhere seeking medication. Ain't nothing wrong with me. And the universe is showing me that. That's why I'm an oracle, a high-ranking oracle. I'm super sensitive to the hidden realm, the spirit realm. Aesha Muhammad, what happened to you? I'm going to pull 3 cards. Tell me what happened to you. Somebody that knows somebody is going to watch this reading. And it's going to bring justice to the Aesha's family. I'm going to pull 3 cards, Aesha. What happened to you? Aesha Muhammad, October 11th, 1977. Went missing November 30th, 2000. What happened to you? 3 cards. What happened to you? Y'all ready for this? 1, 2, 3. Look at that. Pisces. I've made contact with her. Look at that. Pisces comes first. This is her chart. This is Pisces' house, the 12th house. Pisces comes first. I told you she's here. Pisces. So, to follow Pisces, Neptune rules Pisces. Where was Pisces at first in her chart? Where was Neptune? Neptune at her birth was in Sagittarius. Look at that right here. Neptune was right here. Look, she's telling you what happened. Right here. The father's house. Sagittarius is the grandparent, but it's also the deacon energy. This is the church energy, but this is also the grandparent energy. Sagittarius is also the energy of a foreigner as well. Now, it's in Capricorn's house, and Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So where's Jupiter at in her chart? Jupiter is in Cancer, which is in her house of children. This is either the child's grandparent or the father of the child. Energy is not lying. Now, look at this. This is about communication and travels. There was communication. Aesha knows where her son is. She knows where her son is. This is a Gemini card. But this is also a Sagittarius card because Gemini and Sagittarius rules travels and communications. Gemini rules the local travel and local communication and interaction, like going to school and things that you learn. Not only that, just things that you learn in your local environment, the local environmental conditioning. Sagittarius is the higher octave of communication and interaction and learning, which is higher knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Sagittarius is also long distance travels. Now, if Aesha isn't dead, she left the country. And Gemini is in the second house of money, where Sagittarius, the higher octave of communication travel, is in the house of death. Why? Mercury rules communication and travel, but Mercury rules Gemini, the sibling. Why is her sibling coming out? Somebody got some explaining to do. Somebody has some explaining to do. They need to question her siblings. Somebody knows more than what they are saying. Those stories are not adding up. When the sister came home and she called Aesha, but Aesha never answered, and Aesha called the brother because the sister wasn't, something ain't adding up because there's too much Gemini coming out, the sibling, and it's in the house of money. And this is family because the family energy, which is Cancer, is in the house of siblings. The travel. That child got from Philadelphia to New York to New Jersey by somebody who knows that child. That child knows who brought them to that church. That's why the child, if that story is true, which I don't even believe no more. The way this reading came out, I don't even believe no more that that's the story, how they found the child. Somebody banged on the door and the deacon opened up the door to see the child standing there by themselves. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. That child been with them in their possession. We're getting ready to look for Aisha's body. Aisha Mohammed, born October 11th, 1977, who went missing November 30th, 2000. Tell me where your body is. Where is the body of Aisha Mohammed? I'm almost certain than not that she is dead. And if she's not dead, she's in another country hiding. Because the hidden realm rules her energy. the 12th house. Pisces. This is the hidden. If she's not dead, she's hiding. Why though? Now, I also forgot to mention where Neptune was the day she disappeared. Neptune was in Aquarius. Look at that. Neptune was in Sagittarius in Aisha's birth energy. And Sagittarius is the energy responsible for her death. Neptune, the day she disappeared, is in Aquarius, which is right here in the 10th house of the father. What kind of father figure was this? Find Capricorn. Capricorn is at the church. Somebody at that church. That child been in the presence of those people in New Jersey. They know Aesha and the family. Somebody is not telling the truth. The people responsible for what happened to Aesha just may be the people that's trying to help them find her. Aisha Muhammad, where's your body? Show us where your body is, Aisha Muhammad. Where is the body of Aisha Muhammad? Energy don't lie, y'all. Look at that. Destroyed. Her body is dead. She's dead. The 8th house is the house of death. Fire and destruction. She was shot. Fired. Shots fired and destroyed in the 8th house. The 8th house is the house of death. That's where Sagittarius is. And that is the card that she pulled. Pisces. Neptune rules Pisces. Neptune in Aisha's birth energy is in Sagittarius. The day she disappeared, this is who shot her. Sagittarius in her chart is in the 10th house of the father. What kind of father? Look at the day she disappeared. A member. What kind of member? Aquarius rules the 11th house. There goes the father figure in the 11th house. And look where the father figure is at the day she disappeared. The church. The 9th house. You can't make this up. You cannot make this up. You cannot make this up. Who? Today, Aisha, November the 5th, 2025. Who can we reach out to, even with law enforcement? Who can law enforcement find today that knows exactly what happened to you so they can be dealt with? Who is alive and well today that knows exactly what happened to you, Aisha Muhammad? Who is alive and well today? November the 5th, 2025. That knows exactly what happened to you so they can be held accountable. Energy don't lie. This card is going to take us out. A staff member in her family. A staff member in the 4th house. The 4th house, look, in Aisha's chart, look what's in the 4th house. Gemini. This staff member is responsible for the traveling of the child from Philadelphia to New Jersey. This is somebody that's affiliated with one of her siblings, but it's definitely in her family. Now look in the 4th house the day she disappeared. Look at that. Leo, the child. right? Now, the staff is Virgo energy. And Virgo rules the sixth house. Look what's in the sixth house of Alicia's chart. The child. The person that was helping her with the child. Aesha knows exactly where her son is. Yeah, them church, ain't nobody innocent. Okay? Charles Dawkins, her siblings, that's right, I said it. Her siblings, her family, they know. Somebody in her family knows somebody in her family is affiliated with Aisha's disappearance and the dropping off of that child, which I don't believe it was because they knocked on that door and the deacon opened up the door to see the child standing there. No, that's just a story that they told. They need to question everybody in that church. They need to take a polygraph test, and I promise you, somebody's gonna come up lying, and the rest are gonna come up inconclusive because people ain't telling the whole story. They're not telling the whole story. They know. They know. That church know. Her family knows. I'm gonna see if she opens up another chart just to confirm. Aesha, talk to us. This is the last card I'm pulling. It's going to open up another chart, or either she's going to talk from this same chart. But whatever this card is, it's going to take us out. Elaborate, Aesha. Somebody knows something. Tell us who these people are. Who did this to you? Look at this. See? Libra in the second house. That partner she was in a relationship with. That Libra. Look, in her chart, in the 8th house. Look. The death in her house of death. That's who shot her. In the 8th house, that partner. Now, when Libra is in the 2nd house, guess what comes first? Virgo. This person just may be a Virgo. Somebody born in late August, early September. Whoever that is in her family or the person she was in a relationship with. Whether it's the father, I don't know his date of birth, or whether it's Charles Dawkins, whoever is born in late August and early September is a part of this disappearance. Look at that. Virgo comes first. Isn't that something? Now, in the house of death, this is a 6th house chart. And remember, I was telling you, in Aisha's energy, look what's in the 6th house. Her son, Leo. The child. Leo represents the child. That's not the child's sign. It could be the child's sign. But Leo is the energy of children. And in the 6th house, the day she disappeared, look what you see. Libra. The person who shot her and killed her. Now, in the house of death, you see Aries. Mars rules Aries. And Mars, the day Aisha disappeared, is in Libra. Mars is in Libra. You can see it for yourself. I'm smiling because this is justice. Look at that. Whoever was in a relationship with Aisha at that time shot and killed her. And that's who knows where her body is. They shot and killed her. Yep. That's my reading on Aisha Muhammad, and I'm sticking to it. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. This is Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell button. Y'all be blessed.